Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So this is kind of a long story, but I hope that you'll stick with me to the end because it's really important and it just shows that, yeah, there is voter fraud, there is election fraud that goes on, and it's pretty gross. But for right now, it's the Republicans who are doing it. So a dark money group helped to remove an incumbent Democrat in Florida in one of the districts. And now they've changed the name of their one and only donor on campaign finance reports, raising just one of many huge red flags, which I'm going to tell you about, that this was in fact a Republican plot to steal a Senate seat and install a Trump loyalist. As reported by the Miami Herald, two political committees, which go by the names of Our Florida and The Truth, report receiving $550,000 to fund candidates in very key state Senate races in 3 different Florida districts. Now, these funds were used for candidates who claimed that they had no party affiliation, but they also claimed that they held progressive ideals. For example, one of the mailers that they sent out read, quote, "The political parties have failed us. Let's send independent leaders to Tallahassee for a change." However, the source of the funds that paid for these mailers has been untraceable so far. And as I record this, there's an investigation taking place in regard to the so-called no-party candidate who ran in the 37th district of Florida. So 3 candidates ran in that race, in that 37th district. One was the co-founder of Latinas for Trump, a woman by the name of Ileana Garcia. Another was the incumbent Democrat who subsequently lost his seat. His name is Jose Javier Rodriguez. The third person running for this seat was the so-called no-party candidate named Alex Rodriguez. So the Trump sycophant, Ileana Garcia, won the seat by only 34 votes. So authorities are now investigating whether this mysterious no-party candidate was even a real candidate, or if he was purposely inserted into the race to draw votes away from the Democrat, Jose Rodriguez. So this guy, this alleged no-party candidate, Alex Rodriguez, used to be a mechanic. He has no history in politics. And while that's not necessarily a red flag, I mean, honestly, more working class Americans should get involved in politics. There are many, 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 many other facts about this guy, which make no sense at all. And it makes no sense about his candidacy. And it's blatantly obvious that the sole purpose of him running in this race was to strip votes away from the Democrat and help the Republican candidate win. Here's what all they've found. He never launched a campaign website. I mean, who does that? You're running a campaign, you don't have a campaign website. He had an email address, a campaign email address that was a Gmail account. Nobody does that either, because when you set up your website, you purchase a domain name so that no one else can copy it. You want to make sure that nobody else can launch a fake website. So you typically purchase a domain name from like GoDaddy or something, and your email address is the same domain name. He never attended a candidate forum. He never received a single donation. In fact, the only money that his campaign had was a $2,000 loan that he gave to himself, which he used the majority of it to file the necessary paperwork for his pretend run. He also left the bank account section blank on the financial disclosures that he was required to file when he opted to run for office. And when a reporter tracked him down and tried to ask him questions, he actually pretended to be someone else and said, "Oh no, he's not here." So take a look at this clip from Channel 10 News in Florida, where he looks the reporter right in the face and lies to her.
We've been looking for Alex. Is he around?
No, he'll be back tomorrow, though.
At the time, we didn't know this is Alex Rodriguez lying to us. Here's proof.
Do you know how to find him? He's hard to find.
No.
We now know this isn't the first lie Alex Rodriguez has told. One of the most recent is the fake home address he put under oath when he filed to run for state senate.
Did he want to be a state senator?
I couldn't answer that either.
Since finding evidence, Rodriguez was a shill candidate.
So yeah, not something a serious candidate for a Senate seat would ever do, even on a bad hair day. You're not going to duck the press. You want as much attention as possible on your candidacy. So now news outlets are also reporting that this Alex Rodriguez resides in Palm Beach County. That's important because he's actually registered to vote in Miami-Dade County. That's where he filed his paperwork to run for office as well. So reporters went to the address that he used for his voter registration, and there was a couple living there who told the reporter, "Oh no, he doesn't live here, and he hasn't lived here for 5 years." So yeah, there is voter fraud. There are people using old addresses in order to vote in key swing states. It just happens to be Republicans. Which brings me to my next point, is that when he voted in the 2018 midterms, Rodriguez was a registered Republican. So the fact that he's a Republican and he appears to be a shill trying to help Trump is all very fitting, considering that he appears to be a con man. And in fact, his entire history and profile is eerily similar to Trump, but it would be like Trump on a budget. So here's the deal. Rodriguez was once arrested for grand theft after 2 of his former customers purchased tens of thousands of dollars in equipment from him. I believe it was just under $90,000 from the report that I was looking at, but he never actually delivered the merchandise to them. So they went to him. They said, "Hey, we paid you money. We never got our merchandise." Rodriguez says, "Oh, no, I'll give you your money back." He gives them checks and the checks bounced. So they filed a police report. It went before the court. And unfortunately, he was able to avoid jail time and a criminal record by taking a plea deal. So that's why there's nothing necessarily showing on his record. But yeah, he does have an arrest record. He was charged with these crimes. The local news also discovered that he's currently in collections for thousands more in unpaid debt. So again, this guy had no money. Where did he even get that $2,000 to put into his own campaign and pay for the filing fee? And typically, these groups that help to fund candidates, they look for the best candidates. They look for people with stellar records, with no criminal history, who actually have a chance of winning. They don't just throw $500,000 at someone like this, someone with this background. Yet, this dark money group funded this guy's campaign because they really believed in him as a candidate.
Right.
Yeah. The problem, though, is that he was successful in siphoning off 6,300 votes in a district that, again, this Trump-loving Ileana Garcia won by only 34 votes. So if he had not been in the race, more than likely she would not have won, because the votes that he siphoned off were progressive-leaning Democratic votes, not Republicans. So in part, he did this by sending out mailers promising to fight climate change, to hold police accountable, and to guarantee a living wage. Something that Republicans, all 3 of those things that they don't give a damn about, that they deny and ignore and fight against and would never do for people. But authorities and the Democratic Party are also wondering if they chose Alex Rodriguez purposely due to his last name, because obviously voters might confuse him with the other Rodriguez, the other guy running. They may not have paid attention to his first name, and they may have just seen the surname and voted for Alex in this race in error. But here's the really bad news, as if all of that isn't bad enough. Even if they can prove that Alex Rodriguez was used to rig the election for Garcia, the law doesn't allow for a new vote. Other than potential prosecution for registering and voting in the wrong district, which he did, there's little to nothing that can be done. So it's no wonder Republicans are constantly blaming Democrats for cheating in elections. You know, it's like when you date someone, they're always accusing you of cheating, even though you've given them no reason to be suspicious. You've done nothing wrong, and they're the ones that are cheating. And they just assume that you must be doing the same thing. And they're following you. They're sneaking up to your house in the middle of the night to listen at your window. They're calling you from down the street to see who you're with. Oh, sorry. Yeah, got off on a little tangent there. Yeah, that is based on a true and personal story, but I digress. So, but seriously, Republicans are paranoid about those on the left cheating because they know how much cheating they do themselves. And in their minds, they like to think of themselves as these paragons of virtue, and they have so much integrity in their own minds. So they think, well, if we are capable of lying, cheating, and stealing to win an election, and we're these godly people who believe and we're Christians and we go to church and we read the Bible and we claim to love God and follow his word, and we're so much better than those heathen Democrats, well, then they must be doing it too, because we're doing it and we're much better people. They're always trying to deflect and somehow justify their own nefarious actions and behavior. And I'm not saying that Democrats are totally innocent and do nothing wrong, but yeah, in this case, it's pretty obvious what went down. So there's a couple things. This is the problem with dark money groups and the fact that you can so easily hide the source of donations in this country. I mean, Florida residents, I'm sure, would have thought twice before casting their vote if they knew the true source of his funding. If they knew the people funding him is actually a dark money Republican group, they would have maybe been a little bit more concerned about his true intentions. And Democrats could have put out competing mailers. They could have put out ads to warn people up front. But here's where I truly blame Democrats. If Democrats actually did have and use a strong progressive message, and if they meant it, voters wouldn't be looking elsewhere. Voters wouldn't be so easily swayed and lured away by someone like this fraud. Obviously, some voters, whether it be independents or Democrats or maybe even Republicans, appreciated this guy's false message and what he claimed to stand for. And so many people in this country are tired of the two-party system. They see no substantive difference between establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to tell people what you stand for, and you have to stand strong in that message. You can't be wishy-washy. It can't be all about Trump bad. You have to show people, what are you going to do for them? That's what people want to hear, and they want to believe in something, and they're sick of both parties, clearly. That's how this guy got 6,300 votes and swung this election to this woman who's, in a party that doesn't even like her and thinks that people of her race are rapists and drug dealers. And now Republicans see how well this works. I mean, they're going to mimic this. They're going to duplicate this effort across the country. So they want something different. They want people who are going to fight for them, for what appeals to average Americans, not their corporate donors. Anyway, guys, I will keep an eye on this. I want to know what happens with this investigation. And I'm going to look into the other candidates as well, because this, again, was just one of 3 that was funded by this dark money group. So as always, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll talk with you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.